So welcome everyone to our House Sit Hangout. This is the third one in the series, and I really appreciate you joining the group. First of all, let's just make our introductions. My name is Lamia from HouseSitMatch. I'm here to answer any questions you have about house sitting or HouseSitMatch and how we work. But I'd like to pass over maybe to Nikki and Andy. Please introduce yourselves and tell us about your experience in house sitting.
Okay, so I'm Nikki.
And I'm Andy.
And we've got about 4 years worth of, I suppose, formal house sitting experience, not necessarily through HouseSitMatch. We're doing our first one with HouseSitMatch in November, I think it is. We hope, but our experience has been either with friends or it's been through trusted house sitters. So we've sat at home and abroad. We're both currently working full-time, so a lot of our sits have been fairly local to us. We're based in Cardiff in Wales, so we've done weekend sits locally and short sits, which have been absolutely lovely for getting to see the country. The other thing, we've got experience of a wide range of animals, and I'm smiling as I say this because we did one of our first sits was with a very naughty Shetland pony plus chickens, ducks, geese and a variety of other animals, but we really enjoyed it, and so we've got a range of animal experience now across those sits as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. That sounds like fun, actually.
It was.
And Zoe, perhaps you could introduce yourself.
Yes, again, on a more formal basis or informal. Zoe, I live with my partner in Worcester. I came across the whole concept about probably just over a year ago. I was flying out to Italy for a ski break, and I was doing an online reading a magazine, and came across trusted house sitters. I thought, wow, what an amazing idea. Yeah, we've had quite a lot of, not quite to the extremes that you guys have had, haven't looked after a pony or those kind of animals, but I've looked after a few dogs, cats, had pretty long sits actually, about a 3-week sit in Amsterdam, Netherlands. So yeah, it's been really good fun, really, really good fun, and I'd love to do more of it. And I think it's a fantastic idea, Lamia. The HouseSitMatch site is a really fantastic idea and such a lovely personal touch. I think sometimes bigger companies can become too big, and they can lose face with what the clients are really looking for. So I think that's where you've got a real positive.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind. Well, I have to say I enjoy my work. I enjoy meeting the people behind the ideas that make the company. So thank you for being part of that. So, I mean, obviously we're in an unusual time right now. We're in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis. Travel has been suspended, if not restricted, heavily restricted, not just in Europe, but around the world. I know you've both sets of couples have actually got house sits in mind or house sits booked and are kind of waiting to hear what happens over the next few weeks and months. Are you keeping in touch with the homeowners?
For us, we haven't been in touch with the homeowners to date. We do plan to do that, but I think we were just waiting because ours are not until the end of October and the end of November that we're due to be out in Spain for both of those. So we were just really going to wait a little bit longer in order before we get in contact and just check everything's okay.
Okay, wonderful. Everyone, I'd like to introduce Tiara St. Clair.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Now, Tiara, are you in New York today?
No, I'm actually in the States in a place called Indiana, where I landed. I was going to be here for a little bit of time to stay with some friends, and I'm now here indefinitely.
Wow. Oh, well, I hope it's not too early for you.
No, it's 11:30 here. I just have something I'm doing in a little bit.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the middle of the COVID crisis, COVID-19, and how both Zoe, who is on your left on the screen, who has house sat for trusted house sitters before, and Nikki and Andy, who've also house sat for trusted, but are about to house sit for us, hopefully in November. So actually, between all of us, we've all had experience of house sitting. So Zoe was just going to tell us what her plans are and how she's keeping in touch with people she perhaps has plans with.
Mm.
And where is
Yeah, we haven't really got plans at the moment as such. I've always tended to be quite last minute when I do the house sits, mainly because obviously running an events and promotions company, running a property company, the last thing I want to do is anything kind of clashing. So we always tend to do things quite last minute. But I do stay in touch with a gentleman who we house sit for last year. It was a couple of weeks in Malvern, which is very local to where we live. And we were due to do a long-term sit for him because he's stranded in the Netherlands. However, that fell through. So no real plans at the moment. Never really tended to do it that way. But would like to think at some stage when the lockdown measures lessen a little more, that we will be doing more obviously games. So because I so enjoy it, really enjoy it. So
great. And now, Tiara, you've done a few house sits for us in London and elsewhere.
Yes, London and Spain, and I can't remember all, but I love your company, Lamia. I did a lot of things with trusted house sitters, and there just wasn't the same hands-on love and care that I experience when I do something with HouseSitMatch, and I think it really reflects in the relationships that I've established with people who have their pets. And yeah, I loved having lunch, with you in town and knowing I could call you if anything was happening and all of that. It makes a difference. It really means something.
Oh, well, that's entirely my pleasure. And there's a standing offer if anybody else is passing through High Wycombe, which is unlikely, but just in case, or London or any of the home counties, and I can drive to you. Let's have lunch or a cup of tea or something. It's a standing open offer.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So Tiara, do you have any other house sits plans? I know one of your favorite house sits in London, actually, they've got a few more dates set up, but I didn't know if you'd plan to extend to Europe.
I just received this morning an email, it was a really long, newsy email from Debbie there, and I hadn't seen that they'd posted anything else. So, it's a bit of a conundrum. Do we know when we're going to be able to travel and how that's all going to work out? And usually I don't have a home of my own. So usually I have, my whole life organized so that I know where I'll live. It's very basic for me. So it's a bit disconcerting. Like I saw one that's near Malaga that came on the site today, and I'm like,
oh, that's the Christmas one.
Yeah, the Christmas one.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah.
Really by Christmas, it's a bit far afield for me because they're not actually in the town, but it's still lovely, and I love the south of Spain as much as anywhere on the planet. So like, would I apply? But I don't want to apply for something if there's some reason I couldn't, and how would I know? And
yeah, we're having similar sort of thoughts really. We both retire at the end of August, and our plan is to convert a van into a camper van, and just everything goes at the end of August. We'll be in your position of not having our own home at that point, and we're just going to sort of wander for up to 5 years. So house sits will be important, but I think the flexibility for us potentially is if we can't get over to Spain, then we're hoping that we can at least travel in the UK, and if people are needing house sits in the UK, we can be flexible enough to be in different places than within the UK until we can get across to Europe. But yeah, it feels a little bit I suppose it's a little bit of a challenge, isn't it, to feel that level of uncomfortable, what's happening next, when you were fairly used to planning things and fairly used to thinking, right, in 6 months' time we're going to be here or there, and then you're in a position where you're not quite sure where you're going to be, and it becomes a bit more of a, we have to just see what happens now.
Yeah, where it sounds like for Zoe, that's more like how you do it anyway, is wait to see what's going on at the last minute and jump in when you can.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, probably 2 or 3 months in advance is the most we tend to book things. I've been like that for quite some time actually. So, but I think the downside of all this for all of us is it's, I suppose, just not having that freedom, whether you plan or whether you don't plan. It's not having the freedom to think, or the confidence to think, yes, I can get that flight, or yes, you know, I'm able to go to London without any restrictions. And I think that's the hardest thing for all of us to, it's the biggest challenge for all of us, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to encourage the homeowners to plan, you know, for November and beyond. I've had people say to me, "Oh, surely I can get somebody from July," and I'm like, "Well, I don't think that's a really good idea, because even if some routes open up, can you be sure you'll be able to get back? You know, and who knows what restrictions will be happening between regions within a country, let alone towns." So I have to say, I am kind of telling people, look, just think beyond November. But on the other hand, people are beginning to think about planning for next year, you know, and I think that's quite exciting. And travel agents are beginning to ask people to just think about their plans, you know, suitability of trips and so on. So actually that's quite encouraging. It gives us a little light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I had a plan to be in Spain through the end of March, and then through one thing and another, and it was a lot of different one things and another that I won't go into. I ended up leaving Spain at the beginning of February, and I had also planned, I was buying a ticket from Europe to New York back to Europe. I was buying a two-way ticket, and it only sold me a one-way ticket. It was the strangest thing. I know, that doesn't happen. And so I ended up going back to the States at the beginning of February instead of the end of March, and with a one-way ticket instead of a round trip. And as we can see, that was a really good thing, both of them. You know, I'd have been stranded in Spain without a home, or on my way back to France right now.
Some of our house sitters in the various Facebook groups and so on have been saying that they are stranded and they've had to rent properties for 3 to 6 months with a flexible end, you know, which can be expensive if that's not part of your budget. That's, you know, you have no backup, no friends and so on. So it's been a bit of a challenge. We have managed to find places for a couple of house sitters, but it's not easy. And we've had some fantastic homeowners sort of literally opening their doors and saying, look, we don't use that part of the house, that's yours, just stay there. So it's been great to hear how kind people have been to each other. I mean, that's so refreshing, you know, especially if you're just down the end of the phone and you're kind of begging sometimes, you know, it's just great to hear those good stories.
Yeah.
But now, so where, let's imagine COVID is done and we have no restrictions. What's next on your list? Where do you want to go? Give me 2 or 3 countries or locations that you all want to visit. Where do you really fancy going? Tiara, do you want to start?
Anywhere in Spain, but especially the towns rather than the countryside, and Paris and London.
So definitely a city girl.
I am very much a city girl. Yeah,
we're a bit the opposite. We're wanting to be up in the mountains. I think the one that we've booked for the end of November is an off-grid one, so that's like our ideal. You know, is up in the mountains, get out of the way of everyone, and but for us, country-wise, we want to do, if we can go in September, we want to do the first 3 months. We want to do France, Spain and Portugal. So we've got those set in, hopefully in Spain at the moment, if everything's okay. So for us, it would be Portugal. We want to travel quite quickly through France because we've done a lot of France on holiday before. So we want to do Spain and Portugal. We really want to come back home for Christmas. And I know a lot of house sits are over Christmas, but we've both got separate families, separate lots of grown children that we need to see over the Christmas period. So our plan is to come back for Christmas and then to go back out the following, well, just after Christmas 2021. So for us, it's initially Spain and Portugal, come back for Christmas, maybe do some house sitting in the UK over that period. And then we want to go back out the other way and do Scandinavia in a big loop around, and then to Slovakia, Slovenia, back round that way. So anywhere really.
Yeah. Well, we should touch base after this because I have a lovely house sit that has been posted for, it's just a short one, 3 to 4 to 5 days, and they'll flex at the end for you. They have to get to Portugal to sign papers, and they're based in southwest France. Lovely home, lovely home. Two very good dogs.
Where in Southwest France?
Now you're asking. I can't remember, but I can tell you. Once I'm back on my screen. But they are. They have a car that's available if you don't have one. The last person who house sat there had her own camper van, and she was on her own and she loved it. So that's if that's the fits with your timings, that's something worth thinking about. But it's very rural. It's rural. That's the.
We like the rural.
Yes,
the more
that's
rural,
what I
the
thought.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. And Zoe, any particular? Where do you fancy going? Where's your next port of call? The world is your oyster. COVID is over.
Yes, you were just thinking my thoughts. So many places, so little time. Hey, a bit ambitious maybe, but we actually pre all this happening, kind of fancied Japan actually.
Ooh.
I don't know quite when, I'm sure we will one day, but not quite sure when that will be open again. So Japan, I just love the world. I just love traveling, and I like city, I like countryside, I like mountains. Like skiing, so yeah, I love it all. So we're quite open, but yeah, I suppose ultimately, if you're thinking more short term, I suppose Europe potentially will be open to us sooner than the Far East. So yeah, I love Europe. Done lots of Europe already, but would like to do a lot more. So hey, as long as the sun is shining, and we can go out there and walk and. Quite open to lots of different places actually. So it sounds like a lot of you guys are very sure about where you want to be next.
Well, Tiara, you have a reason for going to Spain every year, certainly in recent years, don't you?
Well, I have done the Camino Santiago 10 times now, and who knows when. I don't know if everyone knows what that is. It's the pilgrimage route in Spain, but of course it's closed now, and who knows when that will open back up, and who will be the brave souls that, rush in. I'm probably the 20-year-olds. But yeah, I love Spain, but I love Spain anyway. My friend Steve, who you saw for a second, he's going, me, I'll do the Camino. Yeah, I really love it. I love a lot of things about Spain, from the culture and the people, the language, and yeah, I haven't gotten tired of it yet. I did about 3 months this year, and often go for about 3 months. But I'm open to all the places, especially if they're cities. I went to Prague for the first time last year, and it was one of the most beautiful cities I'd ever been. I'd heard that, but I didn't really. It's a big statement, since all the cities of Europe, most of them are just so beautiful. To say that's one of the most beautiful is a pretty big statement.
It is exquisite, isn't it? They often use it to film Paris or France in other sort of centuries or other periods.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm quite open to a lot of places, and some I've been and some I haven't. I haven't been to Sicily yet. I haven't been to the really south part of Italy. Or much time at all in Portugal. I drove through Portugal in the middle of the night once, on my way from one place to another, but didn't really see Portugal at all.
Yeah.
So lots of opportunities.
It would make France more fun.
Yeah. Well, there's always time. Lots of time now.
I have time.
So is anyone doing anything with their time now that's not work related?
We've done lots of baking, like lots of people. Sorry.
No worries. You carry on. You go first.
No, I was just going to say we've done lots of baking, like lots of people. I think we've turned into
There's
sort of
flour in Wales.
Yeah. Yes, we can find flour. Yes. But we were supposed to be on holiday as of this Sunday. So as of Sunday, we would have been in North Cyprus. We do a week. Excuse me, we do a week staying with friends, and then we'd got a week of our regular pet sit out there. So that was right up in the mountains in North Cyprus, and there's 2 cats and 2 dogs, and the lady's in her early 80s, and she goes either to Australia or to Italy. She tends to go to if we're just there for a week. And it's funny how much we're going to miss seeing the animals as well, because they're like our little furry friends now, and the 4 of them. The oldest dog is 15,
Yeah, yeah.
I think Dudu's 15. So, you know, that's, they feel a bit like family as well. And it's quite sad not to be going back to see them. So the week after next, we need to find something to do here when we would have been doing our dog sitting, or our pet sitting, just to keep us happy, really.
Yeah, one does get attached to the animals. One of my homeowners wrote to me recently. I've house sat for a few times in France, and she said sadly the eldest dog had died. She has a crowd of 4 dogs, all rescues, and they each had a unique personality. But to hear that the eldest one, Duke, had died, I was actually quite touched. It's really rather sad, but nice to hear from her.
Yeah.
And Zoe, how about you? What are you doing in these COVID lockdown days?
Well, I'm just enjoying going out walking and running. Malvern Hills are very close to us, which is obviously Malvern. And in fact, if anything, I feel like I'm being a little bit naughty because I'm out there just literally for hours on end. A little bit beyond the guidance, you know, I'm going a little bit more than for 30 minutes, but just enjoying it so much, the exercise and the beauty and nature. So I do feel a little bit naughty, actually. I'm maybe not doing quite so much. I keep my hand on the business, obviously, I prioritise, but maybe I'm not doing quite so much business stuff as I should be.
I think when you run your own business, you rarely get a chance to take a break. So it's a bizarre situation, isn't it, where your hand is being forced because you can't actually do anything. You can't sell anything to anyone who doesn't want to buy right now. It's just it's an odd kind of limbo, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I suppose ultimately, yes, I can kind of go outdoors and feel pretty guilt-free that I can just do, as you just mentioned, you know, a lot of things which I don't always have the time to be out there so much. And it's so the weather has just so helped the scenario, so helped the situation. It's been really beautiful. We've been so lucky, haven't we, with the weather? So not quite sure what it's like over in the US. Is the weather there good too?
Horrid.
Yes.
Well,
it's a shame.
I'm in a place that I'd never have chosen because I choose places with nice weather, other than London, but that comes and goes. No, I've been here 2 or 3 months now, and it's basically grey and stark and cold.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's not nice. But you know, I'm not in a city, and I'm not in anything that has a beach or, you know, the coast nearby, which are the 2 things I like, are the coast and the city. So I am with some people I really love. So that's the thing that I feel good about. You know, Lamia, you were saying about the pet that had passed and how that really was a heartfelt experience. I had a similar one. I took care of 5 cats once in Zurich, and one of the things I love doing is taking photos of the pets, finding them in whatever situation. And a woman wrote to me saying that one of her cats, kind of her favorite, had passed away, and that the photo I took of him was the most precious thing she had of him.
How sweet.
Yeah, so it was like such a sad thing, and yet I was so happy that just the natural thing that I did meant so much to her. Yeah, it's those kind of things that really touch us and bring some more depth to just the, you know, yes, I'm here and I'm taking care of your pets, but I'm also falling in love with them, and
it makes those relationships really quite intimate, doesn't it?
It
It really does give you a very strong connection. So Tiara, what are you doing in this time? Obviously staying with fun friends, and you're not in a place you would have chosen necessarily, but it sounds like you look happy. You're obviously doing something that agrees with you.
Yeah, thanks. The thing that's actually saving my sanity is I had some things stored here, and I had some workout tapes called Turbo Jam. So every day I'm punching and kicking, and, you know, just to do something with myself, because I can't really walk. There's a neighborhood, you can walk a couple of blocks, and that's pretty much it. And also I teach something called human design, the human design system. And I've thought about doing online classes for a long time, but it's only now that finally it sort of seemed like the time to get it going. So I've been doing some more of that, and that's fun for me.
Well, it's so fantastic we can be connected internationally through these wonderful systems, isn't it? I read today that Zoom now has over 300 million users. Isn't that amazing? I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yes, this is the time to start your business, online business.
Definitely. We have a family quiz on a Sunday night, and it's sort of got bigger and bigger as people outside of the family have joined, but we do that via Zoom. So we always have really good fun on a Sunday night, being able to connect with people all over the UK, really. So it's
that's a hoot. I do a pub quiz as well, actually, and it's just such a laugh. It's such a laugh.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then using it for work. I mean, we're not allowed to use Zoom for work, but using sort of other systems that we use for work are really similar. And I was in a meeting yesterday, and somebody had decided to move out into the garden and she was chairing the meeting. She'd moved out into the garden because she got her children at home and she was trying to homeschool as well. And every so often this child kept coming up with a puppet on her shoulder while she was trying to chair the meeting, but it just gave it a whole different feel, and quite a nice feel, actually, a bit of a human element to it.
It is a funny time, isn't it?
It is.
I'm going to ask you quickly, I mean, some of you have used HouseSitMatch. You've not all used HouseSitMatch as members yet. But is there anything as users that you would recommend we add or consider enhancing over the next, 2 or 3 years once we come out of COVID? Any suggestions that you think we can adopt?
There was something that came to my mind, and I don't know if I'm going to remember it. One thing that for me is helpful, but I don't think this is what it is a lot of times, for example, in Spain, it will say Malaga, but it's not in Malaga. It's in a little town 40 miles away from Malaga, and it's in the county of Malaga.
Mm. So
just being more specific with that. But there was something else, and I will think of it, Lamia, if I don't right now, and let you know.
Okay.
But it was some little thing like that, like just a little, like if I knew that detail right up, that would help. Of course, now I'm going to read every single one that comes minutely and find it all out. But when there's more, it's easier to
yes,
because I like the cities more, so I'm probably the unusual one. Most people, I guess, want.
That's a very good point, and it is that finessing actually that hopefully will get us to the next level. There is a map, of course. When you click through, there is always a map that shows you. It won't show you the exact postal address because that's for security's sake. We don't do that.
And I do go down there.
Yes. Yeah. But you're right. And actually, it should say, it should be more specific regarding city or region, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's helpful.
And if I think of something else, I have said a little tiny thing to you here and there, and I've always had the impression that you were happy for my feedback.
Oh, so always. No, that's how we're going to improve, by listening to you, because you're using the site. So that's really helpful.
Cool.
I don't know whether I've got whether I've got all the settings on my account as they should be, but I don't seem to receive notifications that are quite helpful to me because whether I might have a setting out, and I probably need to look at that when I can remember my password to log in. But obviously for those people that you trusted, you sort of get almost every day, you get a ping that says there's a new house sit in Spain or wherever it is. And so I have to consciously go onto the site to look because I'm not getting those. But I think that might be a setting for me that I need to look at.
Well, we can look at it together, and I can show you how to adjust those.
Okay.
We are a smaller site, so where Trusted might get 10 or 20 postings, every hour or so, at our peak, we're getting maybe 2 or 3 a day, sometimes 4 a day. Yeah. At the moment, we'd be lucky to get 4 a week simply because no one is traveling. So perhaps you've only recently joined, so perhaps the time but I will definitely look at the settings, and we should have a separate call so I can guide you around that.
That'd be really good. Thank you.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
Helpful. Thank you.
And Zoe, well, as and when you use the site, let us know, because we're always really keen to hear with fresh eyes, because there comes a point where however well you think you've designed something, you just don't see it anymore. So I'd like to hear what people say.
Yeah, well, steady consolation, trusted house sitters, when their notifications come through, that their setup isn't particularly brilliant regarding that, and a little bit, I don't think it's my user issue. I think it's something on their side. So so often either even the bigger companies aren't completely isn't it completely right, but
yeah,
it's good to know. No, but I will be very keen. I think when things start to pick up again, I definitely will be very keen to join HouseSitMatch.
Yeah, well, that would be happy to have you, that's for sure.
Good.
I really am happy to be on HouseSitMatch, and there's more long term on it than any other site I've seen, and that's really lovely for me, because I'm usually traveling from afar, so to go somewhere for just a few days, unless it's piggybacking onto another one, I really appreciate having them for a little bit of a longer time. And as I say, there's just something about the way, Lamia, that you I don't know, it's like the vibe that you put out is friendly and welcoming, and like we're all in this family together. And that's what I seem to find with everyone that I've encountered on the site when I've talked to people, the people who have the pets in the homes. There has that vibe about it. So I think that you're creating that somehow. And I really
thank you. Well, it's I want to create something and somewhere that I want to work, somewhere that I enjoy working. I mean, like many of you, I've had a fairly long career and experienced many different work cultures, but I want to create somewhere that's just enjoyable. And I have to say, I've never had so much fun in my whole life. It's been such a blast. So yes, help us keep going. Tell people about us. It's going to be great. And again, if as and when you sign up for newsletters or you read newsletters, and if you think, oh, this doesn't quite work, again, feel free to tell me, because I'm not embarrassed to hear good or bad news. I'm happy to take feedback. And I know that there have been very few house sits, so I've tried to populate the newsletter, for example, with the free fun things you can do online, whether it's free theatre or films or competitions or guides around galleries. It's been quite a fun thing to discover myself. I didn't know there was so much available. Quite a blast. I mean, you can tap into any Shakespeare play in the Globe Theatre, whether that's your thing or not, where you can, it's just fantastic, really. So that's been kind of fun. But again, if there's anything else you think I should be featuring, please tell me. I'm looking for ideas and content.
excellent.
That's good.
And with any luck, when we finish this recording, I'll edit it and then we'll post that in the newsletter as well, and hopefully invite other people to join future weeks. So I'm so pleased you came back. That's wonderful. Thank you for rejoining us.
Yes. Sorry I couldn't make it last week. I was dealing with house issues. So not bad, but just stuff that had to be dealt with. So what I was going to ask you, Lamia, is how do you feel? Because I've got a lot of contacts. How do you feel about more non-members joining in the Zoom, with the potential they may
what we want to do is talk about house sitting, because it is such a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So please invite non-members. I really don't mind. In fact, I would love to encourage non-members to join, because if there's something that they don't know about house sitting, well, gosh, we're the people to tell them.
Yes.
And we'd love to hear their stories, what they're looking for, because that that helps me generate new ideas for how we can develop opportunities. So please do tell other people. Perhaps I should be sharing more of the house sit opportunities at the moment. I'm not doing it because it's just, I don't want to build people's hopes when plans may fall through. But if I'll send you the link for the Facebook group and the page, so that feel free to follow those if you are on those are on that platform. And also I'll share the Twitter with you, so that might make it easier for you to share the opportunity for joining in a house sit hangout like this, or even forward the emails or whatever.
Okay. Yes, we'll do.
Great.
The thing that I feel hopeful about this growing even more is that I spoke to someone who had joined Trusted House Sitters, and she's done house sitting, she's done pet sitting. She got nothing. Absolutely nothing. She was on for like a year because she didn't have any reviews. And I think if people joined 10 years ago or whatever it was, then you were equal with everyone on there, and then you build yourself up. But now there's people on there that have been there for 10 years that are gonna, it's like when you have 15, 20, 30 5-star reviews, why are you going to go to the person who doesn't have any yet? But you're still at a situation with this site that people can come on, and it can be about the person, not just what the words people have said.
Absolutely. And another thing we do to try and encourage people, first timers, to join us, and I will help, is that we say, do the checks, you know, do the ID check, do the police check, because that's automatically like an imprimatur or, you know, a guarantee on your profile. And then if we meet, if I can get to know you, I can understand more of your experiences and attributes, and I can recommend you to certain homeowners as one of a group. I never recommend an individual as the only solution. And then it's up to you to kind of have a chat and see if the chemistry is right between you and you know, there's a fit. But that's another reason to keep it friendly and you know, myself accessible, but also keep yourself accessible to me, so that you know, at least I can help out if needed.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, well, listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate you all taking the time. I hope you can all get back to whatever you're doing, whether it's weeding the garden, running, or enjoying the scenery. And boxing, yes, so shadow boxing, whatever. And well, if we see you next week, that'll be fantastic. Thank you very much. And please, Zoe, do invite your friends. I'd really appreciate it.
Thank nice to
Okay.
See everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.